together. Now that we're at trade shows, we're seeing a little bit more. We're seeing a lot more as companies, as trucking companies. You know, as technology came inside the truck, we put a lot of pressure on our drivers. We put a lot of pressure on the independent contractors to use the technology, to use the cameras, to trust the instinct, to trust that app. And it seems like a lot of us on the other side, we were kind of hesitant to also go with that technology. Today we're going to talk to Carrie. We're going to drive into Trucker Tools. We're going to see how technology really has changed and how you, the owner-operator, how you, the company, how you, the broker, how you can use technology to not only take away some of those distractions that you have over the road, to not only take some of those distractions about how you're going to track and trace and the check calls that go with it, to you, that broker, to the trucking company, to how you're going to sell that next load. There's technology out there that makes you better. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Hey, BCB Live, the safest station in the nation, is coming up next. Welcome to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. You have Drive Safe Dave over there representing that low bridge, that low clearance at 12 foot 6 inches. Drive Safe Dave, where does that come into play?
Well, you know, it's just telling you how high it is and how low it is. And guess what? If you're driving a big truck, this isn't the one you want to go in right here at 12.6. I'm just saying it's good for shooting hoops, but it's not good for driving under the bridge. Just be aware of these signs, understand what they mean, and make sure that you pay attention as you close in on a bridge, as you close in on an area. Most of the time, it will tell you that it's low bridge underneath, but you got to know the numbers and you got to know how high you are.
Yeah, Drive Safe Dave, I know you play basketball on another level, but most of us play on a 10-foot goal, not 12 foot 6.
I meant the shooter.
Just FYI, baby, just FYI. Hey, Drive Safe Dave, so for the truck driver, and you know what? I know you're going to be like, duh, everybody knows this, but just in case, it's that new driver out there, and maybe you went out there and you didn't follow all the rules, you didn't take a test. Maybe you're out there driving just with a regular Class C CDL in a big truck.
Don't do it.
Dave, how tall is that truck and trailer? What are we talking about?
You want a 13.6 clearance.
13.6.
Yeah. And by the way, don't do it. If you're out driving around with a C license and a big rig, pull over. And get the license that you need and get certified. Get the training necessary to operate the big rig correctly. It concerns me that we're talking to those people out there today driving.
You know what? It happens. I'm telling you right now. And it probably doesn't happen like it used to happen. You know, when you talk to truck drivers, Drive Safe Dave, you know, you hear about the stories. Back when I was 13 years old, I had that 29 speed.
Twin stick.
You hear about these stories all the time, and listen, and it is true. There's rules we have to follow. You know what? You need to go get certified. You need to have a CDL.
Training.
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 Things you've got to do to make sure you're ready to go. I know, Drive Safe Dave, these trucks are automatic and possibly easier to drive than they used to be.
Absolutely easier to drive, way easier. You know, there was a time when we were all like, oh, no, you're not a truck driver unless you can drive a stick. Well, I suggest that you always be able to drive a stick, right? You should always be able to operate one, but ideally you want to be able, you know, that automatic rolling down the road in that traffic, there's nothing like saving that left foot on that clutch.
So, Dave, here we are in June. What's so special about the month of June?
June is the National Safety Month in the United States. It started yesterday, and it's going to proceed all month. We're going to continue to mention it. We're going to continue to bring it up because what do we do here at BCB?
It's all about safety.
It's all about safety, and this is the month that the United States is talking about safety.
Where are the cakes at, Drive Safe? Because you know what?
The parades.
We need to celebrate it the right way, and I'm talking ice cream cake too. But Dave, when we think about national safety, go into that a little bit, because we're not just talking trucking, we're talking safety in everything, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it says everywhere. And that's the idea, whether it be at home, whether it be at work, it doesn't, or at play. It's all about being aware at yes. Wow. But what we really need to do is focus on how we can apply safety to our lives so that we can make it better for everyone involved. You know, and what's the old adage? It's always fun until somebody gets hurt. Yeah, and that's what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to avoid anyone getting hurt, whether it be at the home, whether it be, make good decisions when you're at home, right? Make good decisions about getting on those ladders. Make good decisions about at work wearing the PPEs and the stuff to keep you safe, and also those trench boxes down in ditches. Whatever it is you do, whatever the standard is with which you work, do it a little bit better this month, and be aware of what you're doing each and every day, because I think it matters. And I think as long as we continue to focus on safety, we're going to better not only our environment, better our workplace, better our home. We're going to make it okay for the next generation, because I think they'll also stay better at what they do.
Yeah, if only that deer drive safe, Dave. That fawn was wearing, PPE product the other day in Jersey.
My goodness.
Maybe we wouldn't have that little chain reaction, right?
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'm going to just tell you right now, look, I love animals. I do. I love animals. I just don't want any, but I love animals. But you don't swerve. You don't swerve these big trucks out of the way of these vehicles. It's okay to slow down a little bit, but don't swerve these trucks, because accidents can occur on for these animals. I don't want to hurt any animal out there, but once it enters into the road, people's lives become endangered by the actions that you take on a mishap. And be aware that can happen anytime, Rick. I mean, right, Sir Rick? I mean, deer can run out at any time during the day or night, whenever possible, and can make it very dangerous. Just don't swerve.
Yeah, don't swerve. And listen, I know, Drive Safe Dave, you're appealing to the animal rights people, PETA out there. He never wants to offend
I don't
anybody.
want any emails. I just do.
You know what? Don't hit the deer. You know what? If there's hit the dog.
Yeah.
You don't swerve. You're just going to have to
Correct.
do it. It shouldn't have been in the street anyway, is the way I kind of look at it.
Absolutely.
I know you're like distancing yourself. I mean, Sir Rick said that, not me.
Yeah,
Hey,
he targets them.
Smith Transport, I don't know if you noticed that or not, yesterday Heartland Express goes back on the buying spree.
I saw that.
After like a 3-year hiatus, right? They bought a company out 3 years ago, right before COVID, waited a little bit, and goes out and buys an 850-ish truck operation.
I saw that. A nice, sweet deal. What was it, about 100? I think it was press release was 170 million. Isn't that right? Wasn't that the dollar amount I think that they put out there? So on that deal, but also increasing their asset base.
Yep, a big time increase on that asset base. Hey, we're going to go to a quick break here. We're coming back. We have an interview. Drive Safe Dave. We want to make sure that before we go to that, who is this interview brought to us by?
Utility Pro and Utility ProWear, and go on utilityproware.com and get you that ANSI certified gear. This segment has been brought to you by Utility ProWear. Utility ProWear manufactures high quality ANSI certified high visibility apparel for both men and women. Infused with the Teflon fabric protector, Utility ProWear affords the wearer durable clothing with a great fit to afford the highest degree of safety. Get your high visibility apparel by going to utilityproware.com. Use the code BCB20 at checkout for an exclusive discount. All right, here we are back with BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. And on the call today, we've got Carrie Jablonski with Trucker Tools, the app that's sweeping the nation. What's going on, Carrie?
Good morning, guys. It's great to be here. Thanks so much for having me on.
You bet, you bet. We're excited. So here it is. We're talking about the app. And yes, I downloaded it this morning, and I did look over it this morning. What a cool app this thing is. It's got everything that you need, and it is and who is it directed toward?
Yeah, definitely. So we were built for the owner, operator, and small carrier. We were founded back in actually 2009. So we've been around basically since the introduction of the smartphone. Our founders, Prasad and Murali, realized that there was a real need out there for an owner-operator free app for carriers, and have been around since then. Started with a couple of tools and an app and have been growing ever since.
How would you, so Carrie, let's talk about it a minute. If somebody has never heard of Trucker Tools, what's the best way to describe it for them?
Yeah, we are the leading app for life on the road for drivers. So we're focused, as I mentioned, on owner-operators and small carriers. We've been downloaded 2 million times by them, and right now we've got about 250,000 carriers on the app. More or less, we allow you to become a digital carrier and run your entire business out of our app, have all the tools you need to figure out where you're going to get your next load, how to track your load for a broker or a shipper, and identify the best route. Actually, Drive Safe Dave, I was listening to the beginning of the show, and we have a routing guide. Our routing tool allows you to avoid those short bridges, so you never even have to worry about being on the lookout for them.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Also having those clearance, knowing where the limitations are of the road. Cool stuff going on this tool. It's pretty neat, the routing and the different things that you've got. We'll go into some of those in a minute.
Hey, before you go there, so here's my big question on this, because you're telling me that an independent contractor today, we know what happens on the road. They get to that stop, they're on the phone, they're stressing over that next load. Does it pay enough money? Where's it going to? What are the shipping hours? You're telling me that maybe they can reduce the 40 or 50 phone calls they're making and use an app to give them and show them the way?
That's exactly it. Yeah. Our app was designed so that instead of worrying about finding that next load while you're driving, instead of worrying about picking up the phone and answering that track and trace call, you can focus on what you're doing, which is driving. And then when you're pulled over between loads, when you're at a stop, whatever, you can quickly find and book that load that you're going to pick up tomorrow or the next day instantly with our Book It Now tool. It happens in real time. You do not need to go back and forth with the broker. So it's all taken care of as soon as you're back behind the wheel and ready to drive again.
Yeah. And one more thing on that, you're carrier based, right? I shouldn't say the carrier. The brokers that are using your, your tools right there. I mean,
Yep.
It's everybody and anybody. I looked at the list there. If you're not on that list, shame on you as a broker, because you have some of the biggest ones on there, a very impressive ones. So for that, again, peace of mind for the independent contractor, what about getting paid? Is there, are you taking away some of that doubt as well?
Yeah, definitely. So first of all, as you mentioned, we've got a massive broker network. We kind of run the gamut from small upstart brokerages to those really big guys that everyone who's listening knows of, several hundred of them on there. So we are an awesome way for those small independent contractors, owner operators, to actually kind of have a chance to get in with the big boys and give themselves a fighting chance to develop long-term relationships with those big brokerages who a lot of folks aspire to work with. So on the getting paid side, we've talked about this before. Safety and security is of utmost importance to what we do. So everything we do in the app is completely 100% secure, and it's completely connected to our brokers' TMSs, so that when you're actually picking up a load, it is all running through their official TMS system, so that you don't have to worry about, does this broker know that I'm actually doing this? It's all taken care of for you. So there should be no doubt in your mind or in the broker's mind about what's happening. We have document scanning in the app. So as soon as you drop off, you can take a picture of that POD. It uploads in real time to the TMS. So you're going to get paid as soon as possible.
Yeah, so that is so cool how you do that. You relieve the mind. But let's talk about, just for a second, on everybody's hot topic right now is fuel. Everybody's hot topic is how the cost of fuel, how expensive it is. Look, you've got a fuel optimizer on the app. Explain that and what it does and how it can help.
Definitely. So yeah, our fuel optimizer is tied in with our routing optimizer, which helps you find the best route for you as you're driving from point A to point B anywhere across the country. As I mentioned, it builds truck-specific routing, so that allows you to avoid those roads, low-hanging bridges, anything that you want to avoid, and it identifies the cheapest fuel stations along the way. So we've got these massive real-time data, the database on fuel prices that we're plugged into our app, so that we're collecting data every single day, every single hour, every single minute on prices as they're fluctuating, so that as you're preparing to head across the country, you're able to plan that route to take you towards if we notice that fuel is trending cheaper up on the kind of the northern half of the country versus the southern half of the country, you're able to know that before you go. It might help you change your route, and you're going to know what you're paying before you actually get to the pump. We also crowdsource real-time updates on amenities and other items at these truck stops. So you're able to see, does this stop have showers? Does it accept my fuel card? Am I going to be able to use it when I get there? So that you can factor that in as well to any sort of calculations you're making on which fuel stops you want to stop at.
Have you seen so the market, we've seen a big shift in the market really since early February to where we are today. Less freight out there on that spot market. Have you seen more activity from carriers now, especially because you've really got to start having a little bit more strategy than you had to last year? You've got to pay attention to some of these optimizers that you have. You've got to get on some of these loads a little quicker. Have you seen more carriers use the app in the last month, 2 months than you have, say, last year?
Yeah, we have. We've seen a really sharp increase in activity recently, which is exciting because we believe that digital bookings are the future for small carriers, for independent contractors, owner-operators. And that's because, as you mentioned, you got to get scrappy in a market like this. We've got a Book It Now tool that allows you, when you find a load that you think looks good, you like the price, you're able to jump on it immediately, book it. It's taken off every single platform, real time, connected to the TMS, so you know that no one else is going to be looking at or bidding on that load. And we're building tools that allow you, we have tools that allow you to make offers and then actually negotiate automatically with brokers, so that instead of calling, waiting for a call back, getting on the phone again, getting transferred, you're able to do that all in real time, and the broker will automatically negotiate to that minimum rate they're willing to accept and that maximum rate they're willing to accept. So that it really takes that time component out of booking freight. And I think for us too, we're excited about digital bookings in this market specifically for carriers. We think it allows them to jump on offers that are great for them when they see them. But we think that this movement towards the digitization of freight is really actually great for the small independent operator or owner operator, because it's really democratizing. We know that this industry is built on relationships. And in the past, before it started to go digital, it's really dependent on who you knew, whose phone number you had, how much clout you had in the market. And now that we're moving to this more app-based, technology-based economy, it enables those small guys to build relationships with those huge brokers we have on our platform more easily, which can help them build their book of business.
You have, and I think you're offering it. You were missing out on a whole bunch of different options and apps that you're still available on this app. I mean, a lot of different tools. Can you go over some more of those? I mean, I'm looking at it. You got permits and IFTA. You got message board. What are some of these other little bitty tools inside this awesome app?
Yeah. So, the big one that we've always been known for is our load tracking, which I don't think I've hit on too much. That takes track and trace calls out of the equation for you. You can easily share your location updates with brokers you work with, stay in compliance, and track your load so that you never have to worry about answering a track and trace call again. We've got weigh scale locators. We've got a truck stop guide to help you find the closest and best truck stops. We've got the load finder and booking tool that I've already mentioned. We've got a couple of cool integrations in app too. Insurance, for example, we partner with LoadSure, which is a cargo insurance company, to enable you to buy insurance on every single load on a one-off basis, so that you can make sure that you are fully covered and that you're never going without a full insurance on any load you're delivering. We've also got partnerships and integrations that allow you to find and book parking in-app. And we've got document scanning, so that when you actually complete a load, you're able to take a photo of that POD, upload it in real time. So really, it kind of runs the whole gamut of anything you might need in the life cycle of finding, booking, delivering a load on the road.
Hey, yeah. Carrie, for the broker, so many brokers, and we're all guilty of that. We're like we use carriers one time, and then it's like we totally forget about them. Does this help the broker in identifying these carriers and maybe building that relationship, using them again, or driving that carrier back to that broker again?
Absolutely. Yeah, our founder Prasad calls those one-off carriers, one load wonders. And Trucker Tools was designed to eliminate the one load wonder. So the way we do that is with brokers, we have built this massive carrier database for them. All these carriers who are driving on our, with our app, we call them, or for brokers, those carriers who they have worked with before, we call in-network carriers. Those they haven't worked with before, who have not been onboarded, out-of-network carriers. And when a broker is using our smart capacity tool, which is kind of the broker side of the Trucker Tools ecosystem, they're able to search for carriers both in-network and out-of-network who fit good criteria for loads they're trying to cover. Maybe they, it's their number one run lane, maybe it's near their domicile, whatever it is. So they can find brokers, not just who they've worked, carriers, not just who they've worked with before, but brand new ones who could be a really good fit for them. And then once they go through the onboarding process as an out-of-network carrier, they are added to that broker's database and consistently brought up time and time again when a broker is using our tool to source capacity for a load. We've also got a lot of automated tools in there that help keep loads top of mind for those carriers. We send out emails on a regular basis. We've got kind of every channel possible so that brokers can send loads to those carriers who they've worked with before and develop those really enduring relationships with them, so that it makes good business sense for the broker too, because you know how much time and money is wasted trying to find new carriers for loads. If you've already got 10 who could be a great fit who you just forgotten about, we digitize all of that, put it right there in front of them on the computer, so the broker never has to worry about losing touch with any of those carriers.
What is the ELD integration, and what is that, and how does that work?
Yeah, so we started as a mobile tracking app, but of course, over the last several years since the mandate, ELDs have become more and more popular and have really kind of offered some cool, interesting solutions that I don't think anyone really saw coming when the mandate started. And one of those is load tracking. And we know that different carriers have different preferences, different brokers have different preferences when it comes to tracking. Some are old school and want to do those old track and trace calls. Some want just mobile app tracking, and some prefer the set it and forget it nature of ELDs. So we are happy to work with brokers and carriers any way they prefer to, meet them where they are. So we've developed partnerships with over 100 ELD providers to integrate with our Trucker Tools platform, so that instead of using our mobile app to track loads, you can actually just connect your ELD once, super simple, and then track all of your loads automatically with that device. We've got the partnerships with all of the big names who you're probably familiar with out there, and we're just always growing our network to make sure that we're providing complete coverage. So it's been a really big focus of ours over the last couple of years.
This app has so many tools on it that allow you to do so many different things. What's coming up next on this app? I know y'all got some stuff in the works, right? We got some stuff
cooking.
You have some stuff cooking?
Two things that we're working on. One is on the digital bookings. As I mentioned, we really believe that is the future for owner operators, for small carriers. So we're building out more and more tools that help you improve the way that you can book, find and book loads in app. So things like adding in pricing data to give you a lot of data and information so that you're making the most competitive offers possible on brokers' loads. Auto negotiation to reduce the amount of turnaround time there is when you make an offer. You don't have to wait for that broker to come back to you. You don't have to wait overnight. You might get a response instantly because we're able to actually collect data from brokers on what they want to be countering with. So a lot coming up on the digital booking side. And then on the more tool side, we're really looking at payments as the future. So building partnerships with factoring companies and over the next, couple of years, thinking about how do we make Trucker Tools an option for carriers to get paid quickly.
Yeah, that's it. That's phenomenal. I opened up today with talking about technology and how many how the owner operator, the drivers, the trucks, how we put a lot of pressure on the driver to jump in on the technology, the electronic logs, the forward-facing cameras, the automatic trucks, all of these things. And yet us on the other side, we've been kind of hesitant. When the brokers are when you're selling this product as well to the brokers, right? Those that have the freight to the independent contractor, what's the biggest hang up to them? I mean, Do they just not trust? Do they not believe in the digital brokerage yet? What do you see as the biggest, the scariest thing maybe for the broker?
Yeah, I think you hit on it right there. It's just not yet understanding that this is a safe, secure, forward-looking way to do business. You know, brokerages are built on relationships, and relationships happen voice to voice, face to face. And I think there's a little concern that as we move to digital bookings, digital interactions, they're going to lose some element of trust and safety and security with those relationships they're building with carriers. But that is what we are designing the technology around. It's to, as we were talking about, actually improve those relationships by eliminating those one load wonders, by ensuring that carriers are top of mind after they work with a broker once, because it's not just kind of written on a notebook somewhere in the office or in the back of your mind, like, oh yeah, I actually worked with that guy once. It's right there in front of you on the screen so that you're never forgetting about that carrier you worked with who would be an awesome fit for loads in the future for you.
No, that's a great point on that. And I can see that. And to the brokers out there, hey, don't forget, you can still pick up that phone and say thank you for getting that load delivered on. You are allowed to have a relationship with people. Pick up the phone, say thank you. It doesn't hurt anything. As we move into these tough times, and they are tougher times than what we've seen, higher fuel, the spot rates going down a little bit. I heard something again. I want to make sure that our listeners, the independent contractor, the small carriers, they heard. Carrie, one more time, tell me, what does this cost me, the independent contractor?
Absolutely nothing. We are free for carriers, and we know that there are a lot of loads out there behind paywalls. Everything is right there waiting for you to go get it. Go download the app right now. All you need is an MC number and a phone number, and you're in there finding loads from some of the biggest brokers in the country.
That is remarkable. I was looking at this. The only thing I was looking for a weatherman to give me out on this. I was looking for just anything else that could possibly be missing. This thing has about everything. I was even trying to see if I could get something delivered here to eat on your app. I was just there.
Here we go.
I'll talk to our product team about that. Maybe that's what we need next is food delivery in app.
Yeah, and you know what? You circle around to the right thing when you start delivering the food. I'm telling you, I'm all in that regard. But I do like the price. I do like the price on your app. I do like, and go ahead and brag, Carrie. This is the #1 downloaded app for truck drivers, right? I mean, 100%.
It is, yeah. We've been downloaded 2 million times. I'm willing to bet if you go to any truck you see right now, ask them if they have trucker tools. If they don't have it on their phone right now, they've had it in the last month or two.
Man,
wow, that's fantastic.
No, it is fantastic. And again, for the independent contractor, for those watching this show right now, I want you to hear it from me that listen, having this kind of technology from the driver's perspective, it takes another level of that distraction away from them. It allows them to book that load in advance. It allows them to know that when they get to their destination right now, there is a load to get them back home. They can go ahead and negotiate the rates en route. They can accept the rate now and take that worry off of them. It has so many things involved in this, from fuel apps to tracking where they don't have to answer the phone. There's a lot of great things on here, and they have that access to I don't want to say millions, but to a lot of loads. Let's call it millions. You know, it's me saying it's not Carrie.
It's
millions of loads.
It's millions, yeah.
So there you go.
And millions of dollars. So let's just say out there, and opportunities for all to jump in on this app. Take a look at it. Download it today. See how it can fit what you do. See how it can apply to how you do your business. See if it even changes your business model out there on the road. Look, we want to make sure that you're safe and that what you're doing, and we think that less distractions, less worry, less concerns, and better opportunities give you a safer driver, give you a safer truck driver out there on the road, and that's what we like a lot of. Thank you, Carrie, very much. And hey, before you get out of here, we ask every one of our guests if they will,
tongue twister time.
Yeah, if they will say their name, who they're with, and that you're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Whew. This is Carrie Jablonski with Trucker Tools, and you're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
All right.
Thank you, Carrie. Not your first rodeo, we can tell on that. Hey, thank you for what you're doing. we hope that you continue your growth and continue to take care and be a valued service to the independent contractors and small carriers. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you guys. I had a blast. Really appreciate you having me on.
All right.
All
And
right.
when you come up with some new tools out there on your app, give us a call. We'll get back on and we'll highlight those.
Absolutely. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thanks, Carrie.
Drive safe, Dave. I'm telling you, and that's really kind of why I opened that up with technology. It really is amazing. It wasn't a year ago, and heck, it may have been 6 months ago. I heard the word. I've been hearing this word, digital brokerage, and I'm one of those that were like, it doesn't. How can a computer do this? I mean, it recalls me to pick up that phone and go back and forth. Where's the banter at? The negotiation, the 30-minute negotiation.
Can you make it on time?
Yes, exactly. I ain't got that. Can you do it for $1,200?
Yeah.
All of the banter that goes on. Imagine again, Dave, if that carrier can negotiate online, can do some of that, where it allows your folks inside the office to focus more on those loads that do perhaps take a lot more negotiation, right? And sell the loads immediately that can be sold. Give those carriers that opportunity to take the loads that fit their network, to be able to plan out ahead, to get them home a little quicker, to get them home more efficiently. I just think, Dave, this technology on our side, on the other side of the truck, right? We are the ones that have to kind of jump in. Now, we've asked so much of these drivers to jump in on technology and to trust it. We've got to do the same thing.
Yeah, and I'm not saying on this side, inside the cab, this tool offers so many deals. It even does axle weights. It does scales. It finds scales. It finds, let's just say it finds you a Walmart if you need to get something. I mean, it finds all these other opportunities inside there in one-stop shop, basically, on this app. Pretty neat stuff that's what's going on, and I think it's going to continue to grow and continue to be better for the driver, be better for the industry as a whole when we embrace the technology and we make it our own. And I think that's where it's going to grow, and that's where it's going to give to the other people. Once it goes through the trucking and we approve it, it's okay for everybody else to use.
Yeah, the only one that won't like it is Double Check Dale, because you know what? The weather app and the safety, it may take his job away, and he's going to get a little nervous. Coming up next is Double Check Dale on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
This segment has been brought to you by Utility ProWear. Utility ProWear manufactures high-quality, ANSI-certified, high-visibility apparel for both men and women. Infused with the Teflon fabric protector, Utility ProWear affords the wearer durable clothing with a great fit to afford the highest degree of safety. Get your high-visibility apparel by going to utilityproware.com. Use the code BCB20 at checkout for an exclusive discount.
Hey, welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation on this thankful Thursday. And I'm thankful that we have got another beautiful day coming up today on the weather as far as winds go. We're going to start out with winds. Not a lot going on with them today. There are no areas that are expecting, strong sustained winds or strong gusts. Currently we look at it, it is pretty mild out there. No big color schemes or anything going on. We go into the day a little bit later. We do see some winds starting to pick up, of course, out in New Mexico, southern Colorado, seeing some stronger winds. North Dakota, if you're up in there, you're going to see some strong winds develop by this afternoon. But overall, the winds today just are going to be pretty mild, pretty calm in most places as we go into the overnight hours. Again, New Mexico is the area. We do see some winds, tonight around 10 o'clock in central Texas. But what we're going to do is we're going to switch over and we're going to look at some rain and thunder and see what's going on there. And a lot of times when we see those winds kick up, it has to do with thunderstorms. So currently, there's some thunderstorms and rain precipitation going on in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and out to the west a little bit. Central Oklahoma, southeast Oklahoma getting it. Most of Arkansas is having some precipitation. And then up in the upper Midwest, the Ohio, Kentucky seeing a little bit of rain right now. As we get into this afternoon, 2 o'clock or so, Dallas-Fort Worth area, central Texas is seeing some rain going down into Louisiana, and then up through Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, out to the coast, seeing some thunderstorms going on. I'm going to slide this ahead to 10 o'clock because I said we had some pretty strong winds in the Dallas, in Texas overnight, and there they are. That same area that we were looking at some stronger winds is seeing some storms go through tonight at 10 o'clock. Houston looks like they could get a pretty good thunderstorm, as Lubbock. Lots of lightning going with it. Some of these storms will be, produce locally strong winds, tornadoes, local flash floodings. So be aware of that. 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. Still some rain in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, chance of that. Oklahoma City still getting some rain, and then southeast Colorado still getting some rain tomorrow morning. As we slide to Friday afternoon, advance that a little bit. We've got a lot of rain coming up out of the Pacific Northwest all the way down through Colorado. New Mexico hopefully getting a bunch of rain tomorrow afternoon, help with that fire out there. Central Texas and Oklahoma. And then the Gulf Coast tomorrow afternoon is getting rain. Like I said, wind-wise, we're doing really good. A lot of precipitation in a lot of different areas of the country coming up. So just do find a good local weather app and use that. Stay tuned, look ahead to where you're going to, plan ahead a little bit to see what the weather's going to do out there. And with that, we will take a short break and come back and talk safety.
All right, hey, welcome to BCB Live, safest station in the nation. We're down one person. What happened to Drive Safe?
Couldn't tell you.
He
right
did
now.
an interview. He gave himself a pat on the back and walked out. You know what? Hey, he said, last thing I heard him say was, "Job well done. I did a great job today," and he was gone. I don't know if the taco truck's here or what, but Dale, we've got some weather. I know you shared that. We've got rain. We got storms. We really got to be safe out there today. We got to stay focused and use those apps. We talked about trucker tools, but there's other weather apps out there as well that we should use and be familiar with to know where we're going to, not only just where we are, but where we're going to.
That's really the big thing, is the plan where we're going to, know what the weather is going to be like out there, check it off. And I looked at my weather app this morning when I came in. They were predicting rain today, and tomorrow and Saturday. Now I looked at it a little bit ago and they took the rain out for tomorrow. So it changes very quickly as these storms move out and around and everything. So plan ahead a little bit, make sure you're looking ahead to where you're going to be and plan out your next couple days, and then check it off. Because like I said, with these thunderstorms, they can pop up in a hurry or they can dissipate and go away in a hurry. With that, let's talk a little bit about safety today, Rick. And, we've been talking about tailgating. God, we see it so often. And first you got to recognize it. If you're being tailgated, one of the best ways to prevent that or to end it is, if you're in the left-hand lane, pull over, slow down a little bit, and let them get around. Because most tailgaters just really want to get around you, unless they're being an aggressive driver, and that's a different thing. If you can pull over, slow down, and let them get around you, that's great. If there's an exit ramp and they've been following you for a while and you need to get completely off the roadway, get off the roadway and let them go past you. One of the things you never want to do is, if you're in a car and you're being tailgated or being followed, never lead them home to your house. Just always pull into a very public place. If they follow you there that way, there's plenty of people around you and you're not at your house, you're not given where your address is. But biggest thing is if you can, and when you can, pull over or slow down, let them get past you.
All right, good. Good words of advice there, and make good practice of that. You know what? That following too close, being tailgated, those are all just, man. It's just it's super dangerous. And I think we see it with the videos all the time, right?
Yeah, and I mean, it's just aggressive driving a lot of time. I mean, make sure if you're going to pull over or change lanes that you're using your signal. Communicate to them the best you can. Let them know what's going on. A lot of times, it's just frustrated. They can't get around you as quick as they want to. So if you give them that opportunity, usually it goes away.
Oh, wow. I didn't know you were there, Drive Safe. You've been there the whole time?
I've been trying to be quiet.
Wow.
I was listening, very enthralled by the conversation.
Oh, good. Glad that welcome to the show, Drive Safe, Dave.
Yeah, welcome back.
It is video time here on BCB Live.
First video we got is don't go too fast to stop.
We talk a lot about being able to stop in a hurry, going to speed where if the light changes in a hurry that you can come to that stop. And here's what happens. Short light, the driver's there, gets it stopped in plenty of time, doesn't make that intersection any more dangerous. Just an outstanding video right there.
This is almost like he didn't want to run the. It's like he stopped at the green. He's like, "Come on, turn." I like the planning ahead right here.
Stale green. I mean, we talk about the stale green, and the driver obviously probably knows the area and says, it's going to change.
Already. Turn already. You're getting me in an uncomfortable position. Thank God. Let me stop and get done. Great job on the anticipation.
Next video we got is stoplight with a warning.
And again, we're coming up to a stoplight. We see warning signs. We see warning signs. We know there's one up there that's a dangerous intersection. Driver prepares for it, starts to slow down a little bit. Four-wheeler, on the other hand, decides, that warning sign means just get up and go and gas right through that. So great job by the driver. Four-wheeler, hey, there's a reason those warning signs are up. It's a dangerous intersection. Stop for that light.
Yeah, these are dangerous intersections anyway. It's just, I don't know. It's like putting a stoplight on 35. I mean, you just don't expect it to be there.
Yeah, it's 55 miles an hour on this 6-lane road right here. Offers a lot of dangers of people trying to cross out. This is where people get killed because not paying attention, where people get distracted and look down thinking it's clear, and people come out. These are the dangerous moments out here when these big roads, and a lot of these are state highways, U.S. highways off of the beaten path that require stoplights and signal traffic. So you just got to pay attention and be cautious in these areas. Great job by this driver. Thanks for sending this in, who sent this in. This is a good job of stopping when you need to stop at these intersections.
Next we got, wait, that's not my exit.
Uh-oh.
And the driver's well back, great space and speed. We're watching an exit coming up and everything. And at the last moment, we're going to see this four-wheeler. Oops, that's not where I needed to be, and pull right back out into traffic. Driver has got that big picture going on, aware of it, starts to slow down immediately as soon as he sees that four-wheeler jump back out of that exit lane. So, again, just a great video here, and just shows how important that big picture is, being aware of what's going on around you.
This car, believe it or not, this car is behind this big truck. They probably didn't get the big picture at all, being too close. Wasn't even sure where they were, and then just kind of followed that truck off the road because wasn't really sure what was happening, and then realized, hey, we're exiting, and decided, I got to get back on the freeway.
Next we got adjust your speed for nighttime and make sure you increase that space.
And that's really important. We always talk about managing your speed and space and everything. And so, we have to do it for weather conditions, road conditions, even night conditions. We want to make sure that when it gets dark and we're following, we need to adjust that speed, slow it down a little bit more, recognize when you're too close, and we are here, and then start taking corrective actions to back off. Because, in the nighttime, it's even harder to see those distractions or the debris on the road, or if something's happening ahead of it. So, you just got to make sure you have the right following space.
Yeah, when the shadow from your cab almost touches the other vehicle in front of you, you may be too close. You know what? Use some different tools out there. You can count, and you can't get to 1001 here. You can look at the shadows of your truck right there on them. You'll see it here coming up here, just real close to the back end of that car in front of you. You can use the tools. You can use your in-cab sensors. You can use technology. And Dave, again, I'm going to say, you don't have to use it. You can simply count. And at 70 miles an hour that you can't be within a second and a half of the vehicle in front of you. Car, truck, motorcycle, camper, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and believe it or not, as a driver in a defensive position, you want to realize what you do to the four-wheeler in front of you when you're a big truck behind them and you're too close. It makes them worry. It makes them anxious. All they can see in their rearview mirror is two big headlights and a big truck right behind them. And they know that they're going slower, but we have to be aware of them. And when you can see their eyes in the rear view, you're probably too close. I mean, just be mindful and understand what you're doing. Don't be an aggressive driver. Don't be cautious, be mindful, and understand what you're doing to the people around you.
So, and we're going to go back. I mean, we talked about this last week, but if we're 2 more seconds, 3 more seconds behind this vehicle, have we lost any time?
Not at all.
No.
Not at all. In fact, you've probably saved yourself time and headache and heartache by not having to meet anyone that you don't want to meet tonight, and you don't have to fill out reports, and you don't have to do those kinds of things if something bad happens. Just think of it. We always talk about it and we discuss it. It's that worst case scenario, best case scenario. And the best case scenario is that nothing will happen. But if something does and you were too close, then you say the uh-oh moment. Yep. But if you back off and nothing happens, and best case, nothing will happen, if you back off, your chances of success are greater. So back off, give yourself some space, give that other person that needed protection. It didn't look like they were busy out there. There were only 2 of you out there on the road. Back off a little bit, and it looks like a quiet time, right? I mean, even oncoming traffic, it looks quiet out there. Give yourself, there's no reason to be this close to another car.
Yeah, and you touch on a couple of points. There's not a lot of traffic out there, so sometimes we get complacent and think, well, there's not much going on out here. This is a safe distance. It's not. We're still too close. And
Absolutely.
So, and again, when you give yourself more time, it's less stressful driving. I mean, less stress. You just feel better when you get there. You aren't as tired or as worn out and everything. So just give yourself the space you deserve.
Next, we got recognize and react.
We're too close here. We're almost just less than a truck length away from the vehicle ahead of us. And so again, the first thing is being able to recognize that, hey, we're just too close here. Lots of different ways. Count it out loud. Like I said, you can see this truck that's 70 feet maybe. We're too close. Recognize it and start taking the steps to get away from them.
Yeah, it would be hard to parallel park in that small space. That would be.
Next, in the last video is watch your speed in the curves and keep that stability.
There's a stability alert. The driver that sent this one in, there's a stability alert on, and a lot of times, drivers say, well, I didn't think I was going that fast. There's a reason curves are posted for speed limits and like that. In a big truck, 5 to 10 miles slower than what the curve would be posted, and you don't get those stability events. And, lately we haven't had the wind the past couple days, but that wind really wreaks havoc on you if you're going through that curve too fast, catches you, load shift, and that's when bad things really happen. You may not feel like you're going that fast, but a lot of times you are. Just have to, it's like that following distance. A lot of times you don't feel like you're that close, but you are. So you just got to be aware of it and then take those corrective actions.
I will tell you that when you enter into a curve, don't try to speed up until you're coming out of the curve, the complete curve, because sometimes in curves there will be multi-directions changes, more changes in the curve. You've just got to be genuinely prepared as you slow down into the curve turn. Continue to slow down as you go through the curve, and then only speed up once you exit the curve or coming out of the curve. Don't try to speed up within the curve. It's very dangerous because curves can change. I don't know, a lot of people have these round and these turns, and as you're going in, it seems like it's going in one's position, and then at the last minute, it gets even sharper. So you've got to be very, very mindful of how curves are reacting, and especially if you haven't gone over it very many times or gone through this ever, you don't know how the curve's going to be, so you want to make sure you don't speed up till after the curve.
This one's a single lane, so it's a little different. We've seen those curves where they're dual lanes, and when you talk about those change of directions, a lot of times when you see that, you're starting to take both lanes up, and so if there's somebody alongside you or get somebody around, you're using both lanes where you should only be in one, and if you have that slower speed, it's way easier to maintain your lane.
Yeah, hey, today is Thankful Thursday. We want to make sure that we're recognizing you for what you do. So thankful for what you're doing. And what we want to do here is try to allow you to make it back home or allow somebody else to get back home at the same time, right? We want to make sure we're doing all we can to improve on our skill level, whether it's the videos, whether it's the talk, or whether it's with technology. find a way to make yourself a little bit safer today. And just because you had a bad day yesterday, right? Maybe the anxiety was there, and that does happen. Yeah. You know, maybe you were stressed out. Maybe there was a fight at home with your spouse or your kid or the dog. Something happened. You know what? Sometimes we find ourselves just a little tense. And just because you were like that yesterday, it doesn't mean you have to be like that today. I'm going to tell you. So yesterday, Dale and Dave, I was coming back home and through the neighborhood, and I didn't stop at the stop sign. And it made me so mad at myself. I was like, God dang it, because I've been stopping. I made a point to do that, and yet I slow rolled it because it's the neighborhood. But it doesn't mean that today I can just keep going on. I've got to start back over. I've got to rework on that skill because obviously it's not a habit yet, or I would have just stopped at a stop sign. And I think it's the same thing with what you do out there. You find yourself in just some weird situations, following too close, and maybe they cut you off. There's all sorts of reasons for that. But what we want to encourage you to do is find that space, find that habit, create that habit. And that means, like I did, sometimes you have to admit you're just not very good, that you need to keep working on it. And obviously, I've got to keep working on it. It was a stop sign. But you know what? I'm going to give it heck today. Today, I'm going to make it my goal again to stop at every stop sign, to not follow too close, to make sure that I'm being the safest driver I can out there, not just for myself, not just so I can get back to see my family, so others can have that privilege of doing the same thing.
Yeah, and you know what, I like that also. You get to lead by example when other people see you stopping there and doing that. It promotes doing and respecting the signs and respecting what's going on out there. Cool. I'll tell you, it is very, very important today that you mind the signs, that you mind what you see, and you understand what they mean, and that you try to obey what they say every single time. They're there for your safety. They were implemented for a purpose, and that purpose in mind is to protect and direct everyone on the road. And those signs mean everything when you're out there. Understand, pay attention to them, and if you're distracted, you can't see them. If you're not looking, you won't see them. You won't understand them, and you won't be able to do what they tell you to do. We talked about curves. We talked about stop signs. We talked about low bridges. We've talked about a lot of different signs out there today. And on this Thankful Thursday, pay attention to what they say to you and understand what they mean and how important they are. Great tip.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, the signs say long hair bigot people need not apply. Anybody?
Yes. Which one? It was done by several. Traffic, I think, did it first, right? And then it was done by
Tesla.
Yeah, maybe it was Tesla.
Signs. You know, producers look at me like, what is that? It was a sign.
Signs everywhere.
Signs.
All right, hey, producer, before we get out of here, I'm going to bring it back to you. I know that, you're back from college, you're riding, you're probably, I assume you still ride with your parents maybe to go to eat or to go to church. Are you noticing, have you said anything to mom or dad on their driving yet? Have you said it? I mean, because as people that aren't focused in this, I mean, we all have the neighborhood stop signs that we don't run, that we don't stop at because we're in the neighborhood.
Or you just pick your battles, and
yes,
that's not the one.
You go.
Are you just picking your battles, and that's not the one I'm picking today?
Do it on the way home after they paid for supper.
Well, I mean, okay? I have noticed though, being home, I forgot how bad of a driver my dad is. He just.
Wow.
He's a good driver. He's just kind of scary.
That's not a good aggressive driver. Is not a good driver. It needs work.
Yeah.
It depends on the day.
You know what, Marty, you need to talk to Jake. We need to introduce you to Jake.
We need you on the show. You need to watch the show.
Yeah, we need to get him on.
All right. Hey, everybody, listen, we want you to make it a safe one today. Our dear Heavenly Father, once again, we're so thankful for all that you do. We're so thankful that you give us that opportunity to talk to our friends and family out there. And we ask that you get them back home safe, that you take care of them, that you take their minds and put them at ease. And to do that means you've got to help their families and their friends and all of that back at home. We ask that you create success in those drivers. You create success in how they drive and create success in their pocketbooks, and that you allow them to focus on the most important thing, and that's getting back home. Give them the courage to be leaders out there. Give them the courage to be there for somebody else. It's in your son's name we pray. Amen. Everybody, we're going to see you tomorrow morning, bright and early at 7 o'clock. You will be watching. You don't have a choice. It's BCB Live.
The safest station in the nation.